Hey everyone, welcome to today's explainer. Today we're taking something incredibly common, the everyday pregnancy test, and breaking down the surprising, super rigid mechanics of how it actually works. We're going to look at a real-time lapse experiment to examine the precise science, the strict timing, and the literal physical steps behind a positive versus a negative result. So let's dive right into the rules that govern this whole process. I guarantee you'll walk away with a whole new appreciation for this little plastic tool.
So what actually happens during that agonizing 3-minute wait? I mean, those 3 minutes can feel like an absolute eternity, right? But mechanically speaking, there is a highly specific, rigidly timed chemical reaction unfolding right there on that test strip. We aren't just sitting around waiting for magic, we're waiting for chemistry to validate itself. Let's see exactly how this experiment was set up.
Section 1. The setup. 2 samples, 1 experiment. Our setup here is simple, but honestly, it's absolutely brilliant. We're working with 2 droppers. The top dropper contains our primary variable, that's urine from a pregnant wife, which carries that absolutely crucial HCG marker. Now to make sure this is accurate, we need a solid baseline, right? So the bottom dropper contains urine from the husband, which naturally has 0 HCG. It's a totally unambiguous setup, our positive HCG sample on top and our negative non-HCG control sample on the bottom.
Moving on to Section 2, the procedure. Precision and timing.
Okay, so this test relies entirely on really strict physical actions. First up, you have to use the droppers specifically provided in the kit. Why? Because the volume has to be exactly what the manufacturer intended, no more, no less. Next, we add exactly 3 drops of urine to each test. 1, 2, 3 drops of the HGC sample into the top test, and 1, 2, 3 drops of the baseline sample into the bottom one. It's a highly controlled execution. And then the waiting begins. And this waiting game, it's governed by a totally unforgiving ticking clock. At 0 minutes, you add your 3 exact drops. Then, you are mandated to wait exactly 3 minutes for the chemistry to properly flow across that testing strip. But here's the kicker. At the 5-minute mark, that window slams shut completely. Any reading after 5 minutes is explicitly invalid. It's basically this tight 2-minute window of scientific truth separating accurate results from totally invalid data.
Which brings us to Section 3, the control area, validating the test.
So right at that 3-minute mark, our very first checkpoint is the control line. That first little line that always pops up, that confirms 2 absolutely essential things for us. 1, that our 3-drop volume was actually enough, and 2, that the internal mechanics of the test are working properly. Once we see those distinct lines appear in the control area on both of our tests, we have the green light. It proves that whatever happens next in the test area is chemically trustworthy.
And finally, the moment of truth, Section 4, the results. Interpreting the test area.
All right, the timer sounds, the controls are fully validated. So what do these test areas actually reveal? What happens when a confirmed HGC sample goes head-to-head with a non-HGC sample under identical, strict conditions? Let's find out. Well, the contrast is literally night and day. On the top test, the pregnant wife's sample, boom, a distinct second line appears. It's positively identifying that HCG marker in the urine. But on the bottom test, the husband's baseline, that area remains completely blank. It's a pure negative result, confirming 0 HCG detection. Once you understand the mechanics happening under the hood, it's a remarkably stark, visually obvious result.
When you really step back and think about it, it's kind of mind-blowing, isn't it? A strict, completely mechanical 3-minute window is all that separates a massive, life-changing positive from a standard negative. It literally transforms one of the most monumental moments of the human experience into an exercise of pure objective chemistry. So next time you or someone you know takes one of these, what hidden chemical mechanisms will you be picturing inside that little plastic window? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.